Granddad of Petty Apartheid by Siddharth Byreddy, Olivia and Jake Walter. Petty apartheid is racial segregation enforced in public transportation, hotels, restaurants, and public places. The Separate Amenities Act of 1953 formed part of the apartheid system of racial segregation in South Africa. The Act legalized the racial segregation of public premises, vehicles, and services. Only public roads and streets were excluded from the Act. This is a prime example of petty apartheid which targeted public areas. Another example of petty apartheid is the Native Labor or Settlement of Disputes Act of 1953. This imposed a maximum fine of £500 or 3 years imprisonment for joining or supporting an illegal strike. This act took away a powerful form of resistance among the natives. Note how whites were still able to protest for better working conditions and join unions. On the other hand, grand apartheid involves comprehensive racial segregation and measures such as the removal of black people from white areas and the creation of homelands. The Native Laws Amendment of 1952 narrowed the definition of category of blacks who had the right of permanent residence in towns. It forced a large number of natives from applying for residence in white urban areas where jobs are, and instead it designated them the homelands and townships. This created African areas of poverty and unemployment. The Bantu Homeland Citizens Act of 1970 compelled all blacks to become citizens of a homeland regardless of whether they'd ever lived there or not. The removal of the South African citizenship for non-whites is one of the most influential pieces of apartheid legislation. This legally gave Africans no rights in South Africa and allowed the government to abuse, exploit, and discriminate them against natives with no repercussions or consequences. It also kept natives subservient to whites and created cycles of poverty. In 1952, the African National Congress, or ANC, and the South African Indian Congress launched a massive non-violent political resistance against unjust apartheid laws called the Defiance Campaign. The campaign was carried out through the refusal of native South Africans to attend work and send their children to school, as well as numerous large-scale protests. Native South Africans greatly opposed these petty apartheid laws and tried to emulate Gandhi's way of nonviolent protest to show their disapproval, instead of using violent means. By refusing to attend school and work and other public facilities, they showed the aspects of society which they felt most negatively were affected by petty apartheid. Finally, education and job opportunities for natives was significantly worse, and it was mostly aimed towards making them inferior and subservient to the white population of South Africa.